What's happening? Brian Tong here, and welcome to the Apple Byte for all the good and bad stuff inside the world of Apple. Now, there's so many iPhone 5 rumors floating around there, and we ignore a lot of them, but many of you have been writing in to ask what's been happening with the iPhone 5. So we have a little rumor roundup for you from the past week and a half. So first off, get your save the date on your calendar ready until the actual date is announced. But according to the iPhone blog and 9to5Mac, Apple is targeting pre-orders for the next iPhone on the last days of September, either the 29th or the 30th, and shooting for a launch date in early October, and even as early as October the 7th or the 14th. So more and more guesses, you can bet, are pointing to October now. Now, everyone has questioned if the iPhone will come with 4G or not. No one has confirmed it yet, but the Boy Genius report has obtained information and documentation that shows Apple carrier partners are at the very least testing iPhone models with LTE capabilities. Again, this doesn't mean the next iPhone will have LTE, but Apple is actively testing them with their networks. Then 4G rumors got even hotter after Engadget tipsters reported a major Apple store was getting LTE 4G equipment installed by AT&T, but battery life issues and the 4G chip size in the thinner iPhone form factor aren't really ready for prime time just yet. And what about the looks of the phone? We've seen plenty of concepts. Some say it will resemble the current iPhone 4, and others say it will be drastically different. Well, Mac Rumors took things another step further by commissioning a company to create high-quality renderings based on the allegedly leaked iPhone 5 case designs that have been pretty accurate in the past. Now, the renderings look pretty nice with the elongated home button and tapered design, but just consider this an imagination of the next iPhone. It's kind of like how I imagine flying like an eagle, soaring high, and caring for my babies. Now, the other story everyone asks about is if there's really an iPad 3 coming out this year, because it makes complete sense for Apple to release, a new product 6 months later that's still in high demand. Hopefully, we've put this one to rest for a while after Digitimes, the publication who months ago said an iPad 3 was coming out this year, recently claimed that difficulties in building high-res Retina displays that meet Apple standards will push the release out to 2012. But it won't hurt them after a surprise announcement, one that really came out of nowhere when HP announced it will be discontinuing its line of WebOS devices, specifically the touchpad and WebOS phones. Now, WebOS was expected to be a strong competing platform, but the touchpad flopped with a less than lukewarm response, and no other tablet has been able to give the iPad a run for its money. All right, let's switch gears for a moment. If your iTunes media is taking over your hard drive space, we have a how-to to move your iTunes library onto an external drive.
To get started, open iTunes and make sure the drive you want to move your library to is connected to your computer and ready to go. Next, go into your iTunes preferences. On a PC, you'll find this under the Edit menu, and for a Mac, it's under the iTunes menu. Click under the Advanced tab, and where it says iTunes Music Folder Location, change the location to a folder on your external hard drive. Next, make sure the Copy Files to Music folder option is checked. This ensures that any new content you download or rip into iTunes gets transferred to the new location. After that, hit the OK button. Now, you're not done yet. There's one more big step to take before iTunes really starts moving your library to the new location. When you're ready to make the transfer, click the iTunes File menu, then go to Library and select Organize Library. You'll see a window with options here for consolidating and organizing your library. Check them both if you can, but the critical one here is the first option for consolidating files. This is going to take all the files referenced by iTunes on your computer, your movies, your music, your audiobooks, podcasts, TV shows, and it's going to copy it over to the new location on your external drive. It will take some time, and remember, it's not deleting the old files, it's just copying them to the new location. If you're feeling confident, later on you can move your old iTunes media files on your local drive to the trash can after the transfer is complete. Then check again to make sure everything is still working, and then permanently delete the old files. Watch out for deleting your local iTunes ITL or XML files though, as these might still be used for your playlists and ratings. For CNET.com, I'm Donald Bell, helping to give your iTunes library some extra breathing room.
All right, thank you, Mr. Donald. Now, Apple recently released the floor plans of their proposed mega headquarters in my hometown of Cupertino, California, that Steve Jobs and friends hope to have finished by the year 2015. It looks so magical. Now, the Mac Observer took the plans, crunched the numbers, and found that the UFO will be just slightly larger than the Pentagon. It's longer than the Navy's nuclear-powered USS Enterprise and the Empire State Building. And did you know that Apple even has more cash than the United States government. So it's official. Welcome to the United States of Apple. Now, in other large glass objects, Apple revealed its plans as it remodels the Fifth Avenue glass cube in New York, changing its exterior to 15 panes of glass instead of its 90 that just had way too many visual scenes and really looked so horrible. All right, guys, on to the quick bites. We told you how a German court ruled in Apple's favor to ban the sale of Samsung's Galaxy 10.1 tab in Europe because Apple argued it resembled the iPad too closely. Well, the court has now lifted that ban except in Germany, and a discovery in the filings show how Apple submitted pictures of the Galaxy that weren't the actual Galaxy tab, but an edited and resized version of the tab that looks exactly like the iPad. We know you guys are good with Photoshop and graphics, but come on, not that good. Also, Apple's joining the social party and adding links to products on their online store, so now you can share what you like on Facebook and Twitter and show friends gift suggestions that they will never buy for you. And if you haven't updated already, Mac OS X Lion 10.7.1 is out with bug fixes for Wi-Fi reliability, data transfers, and HDMI out. And with Lion out, what's the next version of Mac OS X going to be called? The Cougar joke is totally played out, but what about this idea from Cookie Zoo? Mac OS X Maru, the internet famous cat. Yeah, you know, I'm not a fan of cats and I'm allergic to them, but this one, I could really rally around. All right, that's going to do it for this week's show. Send me your emails to theapplebyte@cnet.com. Ask away since we're putting together another email episode for you. I'm Brian Tong. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week for another Bite of the Apple.